So I figured we'll just get started so we can get through it and just let people roll in as they do. But those of you who are here, I should keep you waiting no longer. So without further ado, welcome to Fun. Here we do very different things when it comes to production in the form of film and television as you know it, or futuristic forms such as XR and VR and other wearable optics that are yet to come. And we'll explain that, show you what it looks like, show you the benefits and all that other shit, and kind of explain to you what we're doing with it, what you can do with it, and we'll touch this much on blockchain. I'll try not to get too far into it, but it is an important part about what we do, simply because we're talking about content creation that extends past everything we're making right now. Everything anyone's creating right now has a shelf life, and it's this two-dimensional screen right here. And I am here to tell you that shit's gone. If you don't believe me, you'll find out. It's all transitioning into wearable optics, as you know, as we've just recently finally been informed by Meta, who's taken the massive step forward. There have been many companies like Magic Leap and HoloLens and so on and so on, Snapchat recently, and so on and so on. So this is going to be a very... Sorry, I'm getting a message on my glasses. Welcome to the future, right? Speaking of Meta, this interruption is brought to you by. So, as you guys know, the future is really cool, but how does that impact creation, content, and entertainers, right? I had a really big question when I saw, at the time, what would be called slam code. Right, I saw this little pig on the counter that this nerd put on there with his phone. I just went, fuck. And if any of you are in development, this is before Vuforia, so my mind was completely exploding. At the time, I had a streaming platform. It was one of the first. We made it popular with a funny joke that went really wrong, and it got a lot of traction. So with that, I had a lot of ability to just bang my head on the wall for a couple years and figure some shit out. And when I did, I understood that this streaming platform we were building that we thought was the method of delivery systems for the future, we were very wrong. And this was Roku Edition 1, right? So we were like way ahead of even the streaming wars. And we thought we were cool, but we had this insight that if this was possible, if you could put a digital fucking pig on the counter, everything that we're doing is irrelevant, because soon the impact of that is very profound. And, 8 years later, here it is, right? I was like, no, you're gonna, if you can do it, you're gonna, and it's gonna. So I started working with Magic Leap, and we built this really rad go-kart that allowed you to explode things with your hands, drive 60 miles an hour, and it communicated with the car itself, so you could explode or run into digital objects, and it'll affect the car's speed and all these other variables. And this was super cool. We're having a lot of fun exploring this future of content delivery systems, this spatial computing, right? But there was a problem. Guys, I'm a musician, right? I'm not a technologist or any of that shit. I just got my hands on some really cool things because I was a musician. I was a very prominent one. I worked for Outkast, not to brag or whatever, 20 years, whatever. Wrote songs, played in punk rock bands, toured on Warped Tour, right? But that was the problem. I was on tour, and it was never gonna fucking end, ever. It's never gonna fucking end. And to me, that was a problem because I had a child. I was having a child, and my pregnant wife's on the tour bus, 150 degrees, all in gear on fucking Warped Tour. It's all mud and shit sucks. And I'm like, wow, this is gonna be a fun life. The band Everclear was in the tour bus next to me. He had a 2-year-old, and he inflates his pool every day, fills it up with water, tries to cool his son down as he pretends he's being a good father, but the child's learning how to walk on a bus like this. Because it's moving, right? You did good. So anyways, I saw my future. I worked with a lot of artists who were older than me. I saw my future in them. My story was not going to end differently. It all ends the same. Guys, I worked with George Clinton. It all ends the same, right? And to me, that was terrible. So I wanted it out. I quit in the middle of Warped Tour. I said, fuck this shit. Sorry. My profanities, I was a musician, punk rock band. I didn't explain that. So, pardon me as I get through this. Anyways, so I was at the time working with Time Warner Cable beside this party mansion in Hollywood that subsidized my income because the bus driver makes more than you realize that. And that's horrible to realize as a 20-year-old who thought he made it. So I was throwing these parties. Time Warner Cable was doing this experiment on-demand programming. And it was on my house, and I was making a scene, getting in all kinds of trouble, and they were refusing to air it, and I thought it was fun as hell. They didn't think it was too cute. Television wasn't there yet. They hadn't met Snooki, all that shit didn't happen. It was a little ahead, you know, so my trouble just led to the cops, not mine. Anyways, so I had been experimenting in television, so I got out of music in the middle of a tour, and I just freaked out. I said, you know what, I'm gonna go live up in the mountains and just raise my son and be a mountain man, just be with my son, and just screw all this. I did it, right? Ran out of money in like 7 months. I'm like, damn, all that work I did, all that shit we did? 7 months is what I had. That's a hard reality. So I quickly moved from the mountains, got out of retirement, and I got into television. I started working at a cable television network, building my own programming and things like this, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I got to experiment with creative methods that were outside of music, and it was interesting. So I had this progression leading to this epiphany of this pig on the table that this guy showed me through the phone. Right? As you all know, is how it went into reality. Didn't have a word at the time. So when I saw this, it exploded my brain. I was like, okay, I'm on this like evolution of myself. And at the time, I was really experimenting with manifestation, mushrooms, and aliens. Real talk, guys. So it's part of a program that television shows me. Turned into real life. Got way out of hand, like most things do. Right? So there I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I learned Unity, taught myself Unity, you know, in this time off that I took to explore this future. A friend of mine told me there's only one way to do it, you gotta code it. I was like, all right, let me see how to do this. This guy said he'd do it for me, but it's $500,000. I'm like, for what? I was like, for the pig. I was like, can the pig be something else? He's like, yeah, whatever you want it to be. I'm like, but I have to do it? He said, yeah. I was like, well. So anyways, I went into this learning curve, taught myself C#, learned Unity. Spent 2 years, thanks to my friend Lexi, who helped me through it. And then on the other end of it, Vuforia came out, ARKit was introduced in its archaic form on GitHub. And then ARCore was later introduced, and then we started seeing this magnificent future unroll. Pokemon Go came out, we're like, shit, this is it, right? It's gonna happen. And at this time I had abandoned everything before. That streaming platform, our platform was very successful, and shit, I was like, fuck, oh yeah, man, that's a nightmare. This thing that's happening is really gonna be transformative. But I had this big problem. Since I had taken a hands-on approach with creation, I understood the limitations. And the limitation I understood was very impactful towards entertainers. As a musician, as a person, just period as a person, I don't want my representation that goes into this new dimension where more people are, right? Let's face it, there's just more people hanging out in there than there are out here. My representation as an artist in there is a cartoon and a marionette. Right? This is me rocking out. Man, that didn't work for my friends as I tried to convince them to run to this future with me. I'm like, no, guys, we're going to build this thing, and you're going to perform in it, and it's going to, and they're like, yeah, but, I'm like, no, just put these dots on you, and, you know, animate it, you know, this thing. And it wasn't working at all. That's why I made the go-kart, distract myself with, you know, advancements of technology and where it's going to go. How people are going to live in the future. How are my kids going to live? You know, I grew up, to age myself, I'm 42 as of last week, and I grew up before the internet, with the internet, before social media, with social media, and so on, right? And it all had a profound impact on the human existence. how we interact in life. For example, for the past 10 years, all of you lost a hand. I don't know if you know that, but we used to have 2 fucking hands. They were free all the time, right? We're about to get that hand back, right? It's going to go into these things. And as content goes into these things and it leaves our hands, it can't be flat. It can't be 2-dimensional, and my friends don't want to be a fucking cartoon. So I had a problem. So I was like, all right, let's figure this out. We started working with, just simple 2-dimensional projection in, giving some billboard effect to fuck with your brain to make you think I'm there. Got a little dimension to me, but you still have this 5th wall, right? Fourth dimension, whatever it is, it's there. You couldn't penetrate. So I started working with a single sensor intake to bring out the depth off a single sensor. That was pretty cool. It's like, shit, I can kind of see your nose, dude. Like, oh my God. I was like, if we could put like 1 million of these together, we might be able to work something out. So through a long time of experimenting, and then I ended up linking up some individuals who are doing this project in Europe called the Perception Project, which is working on this thing that is now called volumetrics. So I was one of the first people to find out about this because I had this guy whisper in my ear that this shit was possible. So I called them it was their 2 in the morning, and they're like, how the fuck did you get this number? I'm like, how did you get this shit, right? And so then I flew out there, I got an understanding of, what's potentially possible, and then I saw that my friends could be real. I said, okay, what do I need to do this? They said, you need to give me millions of dollars. I said, what else can I do for you? I used to kind of be a big deal. I got some friends. They don't have money either. Then they sent me to Atlanta. Okay? Georgia State was doing some very fascinating advancements on volumetrics. All right? And at the time, to me, that was important because, as I mentioned before, I worked with Outkast. I dropped that twice. Right? They're from Atlanta, if you don't know. So I'm like, well, fuck. Well, they said they wouldn't be cartoons, but if I can make them real. And then I brought them in, but I didn't bring in Outkast. I brought in a group called Organized Noise, which is the foundation of Outkast. And TLC, Goody Mob, just the South. Yeah. It's 3 guys, okay? Sleepy, Rico, and Rick. Sleepy is the godfather of my children. He's one of my best friends, so he helped me orchestrate this. So I brought them in. We did this thing. We weren't sure what it was, right? We were capturing it. At the time, I was working with Magic Leap, so I knew what to do with it. It's like, fuck, if we get real people in 3-dimensional form and then put them right here. Sorry for the pop. And then put them, I wasn't a singer, I was a drummer. So if we could put real people right here, we got something very interesting. Right, so I brought them into this stage in Georgia State, and we did this experiment. We weren't sure where it was going. We had no intention in the end, but there we were. I was sitting in my living room in this Airbnb in this horrible place in Atlanta. It's hot as hell, and there they were in my living room, but they weren't in my living room. Right? And I went, bingo. So then recently one of them passed away. And then I really understood what we were doing. And that was preserving the human legacy. AI is a powerful thing. We're going to get into that a little bit. And we're going to get into training data, more important. All of you know about AI. I'm not here to teach you anything new about that shit, except the fuel that burns the fire. Training data. What everyone is lacking. Scrape the internet, you're at an equal playing field. That's why JBT, Llama, all the AIs are at an equal playing field. There's no advancements coming, guys. I need to tell you, not for a little bit. Because everyone's been training off the same shit. Especially when it comes to regenerative AI. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Generative AI. I'll tell you about regenerative soon. But generative AI needs a lot of training data, but it's flawed data from the get-go. We'll get into curated training data on humans and movement and our massive catalog of it. Captured over 3,000 entertainers here so far. Dancers, musicians, people just talking like myself, bullshitting, all kinds of data on humans and movement. Right? We'll get into the importance of that. But first we're getting into the entertainment factor. So Brian, it's time to pull some shit up. They've heard me talk enough. So what you gonna say? I'm off again. How did they do this? Like rappers just, like this guy. This is Rich the Kid, another Atlanta rapper. Okay? So he has this song that people like. So Rich the Kid is, as you can see, performing stuff in our matrix, right? Where forever we have him in full form. As you can see, Brian's spinning him around. But what you'll notice is the logos on the shirt, the tattoos, and so on and so on and so on. Now, motion capture will never get you there, ever. You'll spend millions, and you won't get it. Number one, clothes. Number two, hair. Number three, movement. Number four, micro expressions in the face, the hands, how he acts, grabbing his crotch, the wrinkles in the pants, you know, all those little things that make it real. He is no marionette, people. Unfortunately for him, this is how he performs. Not to judge, people love it. He's super big. He's really big. He had one of the #1 hits of the year with Kanye West.
Rich the Kid is major.
He's independent. And we'll get into that later.
Wow.
Right?
I was one of the first people to hear that song.
Really?
In New York.
Well, you're going to be the first, not the first person. You can lie to yourself. You're going to be the first person to see him perform in XR. Maybe the first in this building today. Okay, but Brian, what Brian's going to show you now is Apple Vision Pro. Okay, what happened was Rich the Kid went into that studio. Not yet, that's not your cue. He went into this little tube that I built with my bare freaking hands, people. 2 weeks it took me, and this thing is up and running. Why? Because I prepared for years and failed twice. So what Brian's going to show you is Rich the Kid right here. Thanks to the wonders of Apple Vision Pro. Meta does this too. Okay, I'm not saying one's better than the other. They're different. And I'm not here to tell you those different. One's a computer, one's a console for games. Figure out which one's which. So, as you can see, Brian is placing Rich the Kid right here in our space. In fact, Lexi, will you hit the lights in there?
Just check control.
So Brian's going to carry him around. Now, the thing about Vision Pro, you lost him, is, as you can see, the image on the individual, the volumetric digital performer, is very dark. Okay, it's hard to see him, right? What the hell? But as he takes him into the lighting in there, in real time, it relights the digital individual, reacting to the lighting in your room. So if I were to put a purple light on this digital individual, guess what would happen? It would be purple. We do cool experiments. So now, here he is, performing in the mountains, right? So, where he thought he made it out of my tube, I have placed him back in. And I got him trapped there for eternity. But the good news is, he can exit that tube and go into your home. Now the better part is, he is an interoperable asset. He knows what blockchain is. I told you I was going to touch on it a little bit. One big concern we had is how do we distribute the future? How do we secure an artist in a future where people are walking around like this, bumping into shit? How do we make sure that listen, Rich the Kid performing in there, on my computer, on all yours, okay? This thing is gonna last longer than him. That's for real. He's going to get old, he's going to get boring, he's going to get tired. He's not going to have that energy. It happens to us all. I'm here to tell you it happened to me. And then things become less in value. You know, not to poke fun of, but if any of you follow Britney Spears on Instagram,
Oh, yeah.
it's wonderful. Okay? Now, Britney Spears 20 years ago, well, she was worth a lot of money. Now, if you could just preserve that pre-freak out, you know, and then have that keep going, well, now what you could do is extend the shelf life of an artist, protect them from themselves. You see, musicians, specifically rappers, have a problem. Drugs, girlfriends, jail, death, all these other things that, well, obviously impact your career. Kodak Black can't make a tour for the life of him. And when he gets on the tour bus and goes, he gets right the fuck off on the first show. Okay, so this impacts him in a couple ways. A, you lose money, right? So if I had a duality of myself, I hate touring too. As you know, I quit. But if I had a duality of myself that was out there doing all that shit every day, well, I do now, right? But then it also does something else. It creates an insurance bond for a touring artist. You see, the reason why he can't get a tour is he can't get insurance. Because he keeps canceling and walking off, right? A lot of bands are notorious for this. Jane's Addiction just happened to them. They broke up on their reunion tour, got in a fight on stage, right? A lot of these people you can't keep together, but we can. In fact, you'll see, when we get into the demos, you'll see a concert where there's a rock band and there's 5 people, okay? Drummer, singer, bass player, 2 guitarists. They were obviously not in there at the same time. Obviously. You'll figure that out when you watch. Right? So they're all captured separately and then stitched together on a synced timeline for all of us to be a part of in a shared space. Okay? Now this is profound when you think about entertainment. The metaverse had a hard time kickstarting itself because it lacked entertainment. Ozfest tried to do a metaverse Ozfest. It was so lame. I'm going to hold the profanity on that one. But my lord, watching Lemmy play was like, it was worse than Minecraft. And it's like, is this the transformation of entertainment? But it is, because that's where the kids are. You know, Roblox is worth more than the entirety of the music business. Roblox alone is worth more than all of the music business.
You streaming part of it or all of it?
All of it. And I'm going to tell you why.
The streaming part.
I'm going to tell you why. All of it. The video game industry makes more than television, film, and music combined annually. Do you want to know why? And the answer is the same for all of them. And this neighborhood's learning the detriment of that damage right fucking now. You see, I was alive in the 90s. I was downloading shit on Napster. And it was awesome. LimeWire was cool too. A couple others. Pirate Bay. God bless them. But then the streaming model came. An all-you-can-eat buffet. And it was the downfall of the music business. But the television and film industry didn't understand that. And they walked right down that same pathway, and now Netflix has one of the biggest problems in the industry, and that's a plateau. They are the worst investment on earth because there's no growth potential. They're flatlined. So where do you go? And now they have Tubi-like content. If you don't understand the reference, shitty content, right? And it's because they got to scale back, okay? This is what the streaming model does. It destroys creativity because it destroys the monetized system and puts it in a singular pocket. And I learned that when I made one of the first ones. So I understood we couldn't walk through the same damage as we created this new way of consuming entertainers and content. We understood that it had to be first built different, displayed different, and backed with a different monetized system. Right? Interoperability is very important. The ability to take an object, say I actually, $6 trillion are sold annually in digital goods that no one owns. This is Roblox, this is Minecraft, this is Fortnite. You buy a shirt in Fortnite, you can't wear it in Minecraft. You don't own it. In fact, California's put policies against this right now. Disclaimers you got to put on when you buy digital objects saying you don't actually own it. Because the platform goes down, you still have that character? No. Fuck no. Absolutely not. In fact, tons of people put tons of money into video games and eventually just turn themselves off and they're like, well, there goes all my guns. And that's it. So you don't own them. All right, so blockchain is a big resolve for this issue. And I won't get further into that, but smart contracts are wonderful for storing data and distributing data and collecting the money. The burden is crypto. We solved that problem. We'll get into that later, perhaps not, ask me in person. But we simplified the onboarding process so a 12-year-old can use iPhone, double-click Apple Pay. Does it on the back, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into that later, right? Really simple. I just explained it. Fucking easy. Now 12-year-old can facilitate a transaction with a smart contract. So now you have a way to safeguard the intellectual properties that I was referencing, a person. So now you have a person who has an unforeseeable future because these devices are being formed. The platforms are being made. The way we use it is going to change drastically over the next 10 years. So how does that affect? You see, one time, I threw my iPhone out the wall and said, fuck it, I'm getting an Android. I did it once. Okay, it was like 5 years ago. I was mad. I did it. Get an Android. I got an Android, and I realized I didn't have any music. So I was using Apple Music, iTunes. So what the fuck? Wait a minute. So then I was like, well shit, they have this thing Spotify. Let me check this out. So I got Spotify, started to remember all my songs, A year later, after trying to remember shit, oh, I have this, let me get this one. Started building a list, kind of had a catalog going. Couldn't take it anymore. Went back to the iPhone. I'm like, okay. All right, so now I got my music back. And that taught me a valuable lesson. Unlike my records, I don't own that. Right? Music is interesting. Music is the only repeatable content we have. Every player has a replay button. Only music has a replay button. A repeat button. So, I almost had that. I'll try that again some other time. But, so you can buy a record right now that was made 100 years ago. Okay? And then buy a record player that was made 2 months ago in China. Because music transcends time. The way we consume music transcends time. The way we access that data that was captured so long ago transcends time because the need is still there. So the question to me is, how does this transcend through? How does it be secure, even from the downfall of my own creation? I'm making a platform with it, obviously. The way I see it, we're making the iTunes of the future. You have a catalog of music, they perform right there. Watch them or don't, it's playing. Right? Have Minnie right here, George Clinton performing right here, blow them up, have them perform on the city, have the mothership fly in, whatever. Right? You own it. Change your glasses to another one, it's fine. You own it. Right? So now it transforms, transcends. So then with this, we started developing a